This is the place where you can learn English, improve your reading, and also grow as a person. On this channel, we don't just read words, we share stories that can inspire you, motivate you, and help you change your life. Today, I want to share with you a powerful story. It is about a young person who lives without a plan. Maybe you will see yourself in this story. Maybe you will see a friend. Or maybe you will feel the message deep inside your heart. The story begins with an empty life. The main character wakes up every day feeling tired. The alarm rings, but they do not get up quickly. They press the alarm again and again. When they finally open their eyes, the sun is already high in the sky. They hurry to wash their face, grab something small to eat, and run out the door. Every morning feels the same, rushed, stressful, and empty. They dream of having a better life. Sometimes they imagine being rich, strong, and free. Sometimes they think about traveling, learning new things, or helping their family. But these are only dreams. Nothing changes because the dreams never turn into actions. The days pass and everything stays the same. When they go to work or school, they are always late. Their teachers shake their heads. Their boss is angry. Their friends do not trust them anymore. They promise to do better, but the next day, they are late again. This happens again and again, and each time they feel smaller inside. At night, they lie in bed, staring at the ceiling. Their mind is full of questions. Why am I not moving forward? Why do I always fail? Why is life so difficult for me? But no answers come, only silence. The character's heart feels heavy. They are always tired, not only in the body, but also in the mind. They feel like a bird with no wings, like a ship with no map, like a traveler with no road. They want to go somewhere, but they do not know how. Sometimes they look at successful people. They see rich men driving cars, happy families enjoying dinner, young students speaking English with confidence, and leaders inspiring others. They think, what do these people have that I don't? Why is life so easy for them but so hard for me? This thought hurts, and they look down. But the truth is simple. The main character has no routine. They have no habits, no plan, no discipline. They only dream, but they do not act. And without action, life stays empty. The world keeps moving, but they are standing still. Every day is the same. Wake up late, rush through the morning, work without passion, return home tired, scroll on the phone, sleep without peace. Repeat again. This is not living. This is only surviving. And deep inside, they know something is wrong. They know life can be more. They know they have potential, but they do not know where to start. One evening, they sit alone by the window. The sky is dark, and the stars are far away. They whisper to themselves, "There must be something more. I don't want to live like this forever. I want to change." But how? This is where the story truly begins. From the pain of emptiness comes the hunger for change. From the feeling of hopelessness comes the question that can open a new door. And from this question, a journey starts. A journey that will show how small routines can create a rich life. Because the truth is clear, life does not change by accident. Life changes by choice, and the choice begins with simple routines. Chapter 1. The Mirror of Truth. The morning was quiet. The world outside was waking up slowly. Birds were singing, cars were passing, and people were already walking to work. But inside the small room, he still sat on the bed, holding his head with both hands. The alarm had rung an hour ago, but he had not moved. He felt heavy, tired, and weak, as if the world was pulling him down. Finally, with a deep breath, he stood up and walked to the bathroom. The floor felt cold under his feet. The light in the bathroom was sharp and white. He looked up, and for the first time in many days, he really looked at the mirror. At first, he saw only a face, but when he looked longer, he saw the truth. His eyes were tired, with dark circles under them. His skin looked pale. His hair was messy, showing no care. But what was most painful was not his face. It was the feeling behind it. The mirror showed a man who was lost, a man with no direction, a man who had dreams, but no action. He touched the glass with his hand. The reflection touched back, and in that moment, a thought came. Is this really me? Is this the life I want? Memories rushed into his mind. He remembered being a child, full of energy, running outside, dreaming of big things. He remembered saying, "One day I will be strong. One day I will be rich. One day I will live a great life." But now, years later, those dreams felt far away. The man in the mirror did not look strong, rich, or great. He looked small, tired, and broken. Tears came to his eyes. He did not want to cry, but he could not stop. The mirror had shown him the truth, and the truth was painful. He whispered softly, "Something is wrong. Something must change." For the first time, he was honest with himself. He admitted the reality. His life was not moving forward. His habits were weak. His days were wasted. His nights were empty. And if nothing changed, the future would be the same, an endless circle of tired mornings, wasted afternoons, and hopeless nights. He closed his eyes and took another deep breath. The air felt heavy, but inside his heart a small spark appeared. It was the spark of desire, the spark of change. Suddenly a clear thought came. I cannot continue like this. If I want a different life, I must become a different person. If I want a future, I must build it. If I want success, I must start now. He opened his eyes again and looked at the mirror one more time. This time, the reflection looked different. Still tired, still lost, but with a small fire inside. A fire that said, "Yes, I can change." The room was silent. The mirror gave no answers. But the message was clear. The mirror was not an enemy. The mirror was the truth. And the truth was simple. Life was empty because there was no discipline, no routine, no plan. He walked back to the bed and sat down. His hands were shaking a little, but his heart was beating stronger than before. He whispered again, louder this time, "I must change. I don't know how, but I must change." At that moment, he didn't know where to start. He didn't know what steps to take. But something inside him had shifted. The mirror had opened his eyes. For the first time, he was not lying to himself. He was not pretending everything was fine. He was not hiding from the truth. He had faced it. And when you face the truth, you also open the door to growth. The day continued as usual. He went to work, met people, and came home late. But the thought of the mirror stayed with him. It followed him everywhere, on the bus, in the office, in the shop. Every time he remembered that tired face in the mirror, he felt a push inside. Do not waste your life. Change must come. That night, when he lay down on the bed, he did not scroll through the phone like before. He simply stared at the ceiling and thought. The question returned again and again. How can I change? Where do I start? And though he did not yet have the answer, he felt something new. Hope. A small, quiet hope. The mirror had shown him the truth, and the truth had hurt. But the truth had also given him power. Because when you know you are lost, you can begin to find the way. This was the first step in his journey. Not a big action, not a great victory, but a moment of honesty, a moment of courage, a moment when he looked at himself and said, "Enough. My life cannot stay like this. Something must change." And from this small moment, everything else would begin. Chapter 2: The Unexpected Mentor. The next morning felt no different. He still woke up late, still rushed through the day, still carried the same tired body to work. But inside, something had changed. The mirror from yesterday stayed in his mind like a shadow. Every time he saw his reflection in a shop window or on his phone screen, he remembered the truth. I must change. That evening, after work, he walked slowly through the street. The sky was painted orange with the setting sun. People were talking, children were laughing, shops were closing. But he felt heavy and lost in thought. He stopped at a small bench near the park and sat down, his head full of questions. How do I change? What do I do first? Who can guide me? As he sat there, an older man passed by. The man was a neighbor he had seen many times before. He was not rich, not famous, but he always looked calm, healthy, and full of energy. He often carried a book in his hand and walked with quiet confidence. The old man noticed him sitting alone and stopped. "Good evening," the man said with a warm smile. He looked up and answered softly, "Good evening, sir." The old man studied his face for a moment and said, "You look troubled, young man. Is something wrong?" He hesitated. Usually he would say, "I'm fine," and hide his feelings. But tonight was different. The mirror had already forced him to face the truth, and the truth was too heavy to hide. So he sighed and spoke honestly. "My life feels empty," he admitted. "I wake up late, I waste time, I always dream, but I never do anything. I want to change, but I don't know how." The old man nodded slowly, as if he understood. He sat down beside him on the bench and spoke in a calm, steady voice. "Listen carefully," the old man said. "Your future does not come from luck. It does not come from dreams alone. It comes from your routines. The small things you do every day. These are the things that decide your future." His eyes widened. The words were simple, but they hit him like a strong wave. "My routines decide my future?" he repeated quietly. "Yes," the old man said firmly. "If you wake up late every day, your life will be late. If you waste time every day, your life will be wasted. But if you build strong routines, waking early, learning, exercising, saving, then your life will grow rich, step by step. Success is not one big step. Success is small steps, repeated every day." He sat in silence, letting the words sink into his heart. All his life, he had thought success came from luck, from special chances, from big opportunities. But now this old man was telling him that success came from something small and simple, routines. "But it sounds too simple," he said softly. "Can small routines really change a whole life?" The old man smiled. "Yes. Think about a tree. A tree grows tall and strong, not in one day, but because of small drops of water and light every day. Life is the same. Your routines are the water and light for your future." He felt his chest grow warm. For the first time, he saw a clear answer. Maybe he did not need to wait for luck. Maybe he did not need a perfect plan. Maybe he only needed to start with small routines. The old man stood up slowly, preparing to leave. Before he walked away, he placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "Remember this, young man. Change your routines, and you will change your life. Start small, but start today." He watched the man walk away until he disappeared into the street. His heart was racing. The words repeated in his mind again and again. Your routines decide your future. Change your routines. Change your life. That night, when he returned home, he did not feel tired as usual. He felt awake, alive, and curious. He stood in front of the mirror again. This time, the face still looked tired, but the eyes were different. The eyes carried a new light. He whispered to himself, "Maybe this is the answer. Maybe routines are the key. Tomorrow I will try. Tomorrow I will begin." And with that thought, he lay down to sleep, not in despair, but with a small seed of hope, a seed that would soon grow into a new life. Chapter 3. The first step, waking up early. The old man's words stayed in his mind like an echo. Your routines decide your future. Change your routines, change your life. That night he thought about it again and again. He knew he had to start somewhere, but where? Which routine should he change first? Then he remembered one thing the old man said: "If you wake up late every day, your life will be late." Those words struck him deeply. He realized that almost every problem in his life began in the morning. He was always late, always rushing, always starting the day in stress. If he could change his mornings, maybe he could change his life. So, before sleeping, he set an alarm on his phone, 1 hour earlier than usual. He placed the phone far from his bed so he would have to stand up to stop it. He whispered to himself, "Tomorrow will be different." But when the morning came, it was not easy. The alarm rang loudly in the dark room. He groaned, pulled the blanket over his head, and wished for more sleep. His body begged him, just 5 more minutes. His mind whispered, "It's too early. Go back to bed." For a moment, he almost gave up. But then, he remembered the mirror. He remembered the tired face looking back at him. He remembered the old man's words. With a deep breath, he pushed the blanket away, stood up, and walked across the room to turn off the alarm. His eyes were heavy, but his heart felt proud. For the first time, he had won against laziness. The room was still dark. Outside, the city was quiet. He sat by the window and looked at the sky. Slowly, the sun began to rise, painting the world with soft light. It was peaceful, almost magical. He had never noticed this beauty before, because he was always asleep. He made a simple cup of tea and sat with it in his hands. The warmth of the drink filled his body. He felt awake in a new way, not just in his eyes, but in his spirit. For the first time in years, he was not rushing. He was not late. He was ahead. The morning felt longer, bigger, full of possibility. He had time to think, time to breathe, time to prepare for the day. He even opened a notebook and wrote a few simple words. Wake up early, drink tea, start strong. These were not big goals, but they felt powerful. Later, when he left for work, everything felt different. He walked calmly instead of running. He arrived early instead of late. His boss looked surprised, his coworkers noticed, and he felt a quiet pride inside. It was a small change, but it gave him a new kind of energy, an energy of control. Of course, the next days were not perfect. Waking up early was still difficult. Some mornings he wanted to stay in bed. Some mornings he thought of quitting, but each time he remembered the mirror. Each time he remembered the old man's words, and slowly it became easier. After 1 week, his body began to adjust. After 2 weeks, waking up early felt more natural, and after 1 month, it became his new normal. His mornings were no longer a race, they were a gift. He noticed other changes too. Because he started the day strong, he felt stronger during the day. His mind was clearer, his work was better. He felt less stress, more control, and more confidence. All of this came from one simple routine: waking up early. One evening, as he sat with his notebook, he smiled to himself and wrote, "Success begins in the morning." These words were true for him now. He understood that the morning is like the foundation of a house. If the foundation is strong, the house will stand tall. If the morning is strong, the day will stand strong. He had only taken the first step, but already he could feel the difference. And deep inside, he knew. If one routine could change so much, then many routines could change his whole life. Chapter 4: Morning Water and Movement. Waking up early had already changed something inside him. But after a few weeks, he began to ask himself a new question. What should I do with this extra time in the morning? It was good to sit quietly and drink tea, but he felt there could be more. One evening, he remembered something his mentor once said: "The body is the house of the mind. If the body is weak, the mind cannot stay strong." These words stayed in his heart. He thought about how tired and heavy he often felt during the day. Maybe his body needed a new routine too. The next morning, after waking up early, he went to the kitchen. Instead of reaching for tea first, he filled a glass with cool water. He looked at it for a moment, then slowly drank it. The water was simple, but it felt powerful. It washed away the sleepiness, refreshed his throat, and cleared his mind. He had never thought something so small could make such a difference. Then he remembered how stiff his back and shoulders often felt. So he stood in the middle of the room, stretched his arms toward the ceiling, and took a deep breath. His body made small cracks and pops as he moved, but with every stretch he felt lighter. He bent forward, touched his toes, and then raised his arms again. He rolled his shoulders, moved his neck gently, and filled his lungs with air. The room was silent, but inside, something was waking up. His blood moved faster. His chest opened. His heart beat stronger. He was not only awake, he was alive. He tried more movements, circling his arms, bending his knees, twisting his waist. They were not big exercises, just small movements. Yet they gave him a surprising kind of energy. His body felt warmer, his face brighter. He even smiled without thinking. He opened the window and breathed deeply. The morning air was cool, fresh, and clean. As the oxygen filled his body, it was as if his brain switched on. The fog of sleep was gone. His thoughts were sharper. His eyes looked clearer. He stood there for a while, breathing, stretching, and enjoying the quiet power of the morning. He realized that these little actions, drinking water, moving his body, taking air into his lungs, were like gifts he could give himself every day. That day at work, he noticed the difference again. He was not tired in the morning meeting. He spoke more clearly. He listened more carefully. He felt calmer when problems appeared. And when his co-workers asked why he seemed so fresh, he only smiled. He knew the answer: water, movement, breath. The next morning, he repeated the routine. Again, he drank water. Again, he stretched. Again, he filled his lungs with fresh air. Day by day, these simple acts became habits. What once felt new and strange now felt natural and easy. After a week, he could no longer imagine starting his day without them. After 2 weeks, he felt lighter, faster, stronger. After 1 month, he looked in the mirror and saw something new. His eyes had lighter. His skin looked healthier. His posture was taller. He looked alive, truly alive, for the first time in many years. He realized an important lesson. Big energy comes from small routines. A glass of water, a few stretches, a few deep breaths. These were not difficult, but they were powerful. They gave him more than just health. They gave him confidence. They gave him control. One evening, he wrote in his notebook, "Drink water, stretch, breathe, feel alive." He underlined the last words. For the first time in a long while, he truly felt alive. It was not magic, and it was not luck. It was discipline. It was choice. And he knew that if these small steps could bring him such energy, then even bigger steps were waiting ahead. He closed his notebook, placed it on the table, and smiled. Tomorrow morning, he would wake up again, drink his water, stretch his body, and breathe deeply. This was no longer just an idea. This was his new life. Chapter 5. Learning for Growth. After weeks of waking up early and starting his mornings with water and movement, he felt stronger and more awake. His body was alive, his mind was clearer, and he had energy he had never felt before. But he still remembered the words of his mentor. Your routines decide your future. Build your mind as well as your body. One afternoon, the old man noticed him sitting quietly in the park and asked, "Have you started learning every day?" He shook his head. "Not yet," he admitted. "I wake up early, I stretch, I breathe, but I don't know how to learn every day." The old man smiled kindly. "Learning does not have to be big or hard," he said. "Read a page of a book, listen to something new, write a few lines. Every day, little by little, your mind will grow. Small steps make big change." He thought about this for a long time. The idea seemed simple, almost too simple. Could reading one page really change his life? Could listening to one lesson or writing one sentence really make him smarter? But he decided to try. "I will do it," he whispered. "Even if it is small, I will start." The next morning, after his water and stretching routine, he sat at his small desk with a notebook and a book he had found at home. It was not a big book, just a simple one about life and success. He opened it to the first page. He read slowly, carefully, and tried to understand every word. At first, it was not easy. His mind wanted to wander. Thoughts about work, friends, or small worries tried to take his attention away. But he closed his eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and returned to the page. He read until he finished the page, then put a small mark to remember where he stopped. It was only one page, a small step, but he felt proud. For the first time, he had done something for his mind in a disciplined way. The next day, he read another page, then another the day after that. Each day, he also tried to listen to a short lesson or story in English. Sometimes he wrote a few sentences about what he had learned. At first, it felt slow and difficult, but slowly, his mind began to open, He noticed that he could remember words more easily. He could understand small ideas better. His thoughts became clearer. Reading a page every day, listening carefully, and writing a little had more effect than he expected. One morning, he looked at his notebook. There were small notes, new words, and ideas he had written down. He smiled. The small pages of learning were growing like tiny seeds in his mind. Each day, the seeds were becoming stronger, forming small trees of knowledge. He remembered the old man's words again. Small steps make big change. He understood now. Success is not about reading 10 books in one day or learning everything at once. Success is about doing something small every day and never stopping. He began to enjoy learning. It became part of his morning routine, just like drinking water and stretching. He felt proud of himself. For the first time, he realized that his mind could grow, just like his body. The more he learned, the more alive he felt. After a month, he noticed real change. He could solve problems faster. He could speak and write more clearly. Even at work, he felt more confident. His mind was no longer tired or weak. It was growing stronger every day. He wrote a note in his notebook. Read one page, listen one lesson, write one sentence, grow every day. These simple words reminded him that learning did not have to be big to be powerful. Small daily steps were enough. He closed his book, stretched, and looked out the window. The sun was rising. He felt energy in his body and light in his mind. For the first time in many years, he felt alive not only in his body, but in his mind, too. Chapter 6. The Power of Writing Goals. He had been waking up early, drinking water, stretching, and learning a little every day. These small routines were giving him energy, clarity, and confidence. But one evening, as he sat with his notebook, he realized something important. All his effort felt good, but he needed a clear direction. He needed a plan. He needed goals. He remembered the words of his mentor. A written goal is a promise to yourself. It gives your actions focus. It gives your life direction. He had never thought about goals this way before. To him, goals were just dreams floating in his mind, easy to forget. But now he understood that writing them down could make them real. He opened his notebook to a new page. He took a pen in his hand and wrote, "I will wake up at 6 o'clock every morning." It was simple, but he felt its power immediately. Seeing it on paper made it feel like a promise he could not easily break. Next, he wrote another goal. I will save a little money every day. He thought about his small mistakes in the past, buying things he didn't need, wasting money on small pleasures, and never saving for the future. Now, he understood that saving even a little could grow into something big over time. Writing it down made him feel responsible. Finally, he wrote, I will read one page and write one sentence every day. He smiled as he wrote it. These were not huge goals. They were not impossible or scary. They were small, simple, and achievable. But he felt a strong sense of focus. For the first time, he had a clear map for his days. The next morning, he looked at the page again before starting his routines. The words on paper reminded him why he was doing all these small actions. Waking up early was not just to escape laziness, it was to keep his promise. Saving money was not just a habit, it was part of building a better future. Reading and writing were not just tasks, they were steps toward knowledge and growth. He felt a new kind of energy, It was different from the energy he felt from water or stretching. This was the energy of purpose. Each small action now had meaning. Each step was connected to a goal. His life was no longer random. His life had direction. He realized something very important. A written goal is more than just words. It is a contract with yourself. It is a silent promise that you intend to keep, no matter how small the steps or how long the journey. And when you keep that promise every day, something amazing happens. Your mind and body start to work together toward success. Over the next days, he wrote more goals in his notebook. Some were daily routines, like waking early, exercising, or reading. Others were longer term, like saving money for a new course or learning a new skill. Each goal, no matter how small, made him feel stronger. Every time he completed a task, he felt proud and motivated. One morning, he looked at his notebook and thought, "If I follow these goals every day, I can really change my life." The thought was exciting, but also serious. He understood that writing the goals was easy, but following them required discipline and honesty. He also noticed something else. The act of writing gave him clarity. Thoughts that were once messy and confusing now became organized. His dreams became concrete steps. His day was no longer chaotic. It was purposeful. He felt like a captain steering a ship instead of a passenger being pushed by the waves. That night, he closed his notebook and smiled. He had taken control of his life. For the first time, he saw that small actions, guided by clear goals, could lead to big results. He whispered to himself, "A written goal is a promise, and I will keep my promises." He understood now that success is not about dreaming big and waiting for luck. It is about writing down small, clear goals, taking daily action, and keeping promises to yourself. And when he lived this way, each day became a step toward a richer, better life. Chapter 7. Discipline over comfort. Weeks passed, and his new routines were becoming a habit. He woke up early, drank water, stretched, and learned every day. He wrote his goals and followed them. At first, everything felt exciting and fresh. He felt strong, proud, and alive. But soon, reality arrived. Some mornings he did not want to wake up early. His bed was warm and soft. The blanket was comfortable. The alarm was loud, but he felt heavy and lazy. His mind whispered, "Stay in bed. Sleep a little longer. Tomorrow is fine." Some days he wanted to skip reading. He wanted to skip writing. His body ached from stretching. His mind felt tired from learning. He looked at his notebook and felt frustration. "Why am I doing this?" he thought. "It is hard. It is slow. Maybe it is easier to go back to my old life." The temptation to quit was strong. He remembered the easy life he had lived before, sleeping late, wasting hours, doing nothing serious. For a moment, it seemed comforting. It seemed simple. But then he remembered the tired man in the mirror. He remembered the lost, hopeless version of himself, and a fire lit inside him. He whispered softly, "No, I will not go back. I will not give up. I can do this." That day he discovered something very important. He realized that feelings are not always reliable. Sometimes feelings are lazy, tired, and weak. Sometimes feelings want to stop you from growing. But discipline is stronger. Discipline is the choice to keep going, even when feelings say no. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. He decided to test this. The next morning, the alarm rang, and he felt heavy. He felt the old urge to stay in bed, but he forced himself to stand up. He drank water, stretched, and sat down to read. Every step was hard. Every action required effort. His body protested, his mind complained, but he kept moving. And with each small victory, his confidence grew. At first, it was slow. One day, he stumbled and skipped a routine. He felt guilty and weak, but he did not stop. He got back on track the next morning. He realized that discipline is not about perfection. Discipline is about returning to your path every time you fall. Days passed, and he began to feel a new kind of strength. It was different from the energy he felt from waking up early or stretching. This was the power of determination. He was no longer controlled by comfort. He was no longer a prisoner of laziness. He had learned that even when it feels hard, even when it feels painful, the right action is always stronger than feelings. He noticed that his work was better too. When problems appeared, he did not panic. When tasks were difficult, he did not avoid them. He faced challenges with calm and focus. His mind and body had learned a lesson. Discomfort is temporary, but results last. One evening, he wrote in his notebook, "Discipline is stronger than feelings. Keep going, even when it is hard." The words reminded him that life is not always easy. There will be struggles, temptations, and moments of weakness. But if he followed his routines, kept his promises, and acted with discipline, he would grow stronger every day. He also learned patience. Success does not come in one day, and progress is not always visible immediately. Sometimes, the hardest moments are the ones that create the deepest change. Every time he resisted comfort and chose discipline, he built his character, his habits, and his future. At night, as he lay in bed, he felt proud. Not because the day was easy, but because he had chosen to do the right thing. He had chosen action over laziness, growth over comfort, and determination over feelings. He whispered to himself, "I am stronger than my feelings. I am in control of my life. I will keep going." And with that thought, he closed his eyes, knowing that each small act of discipline was shaping the man he wanted to become, the man he had always dreamed of being. Chapter 8. The Routine of Health. After weeks of waking up early, drinking water, stretching, and learning, he noticed a new energy in his body and mind. He was stronger, more focused, and more alive than ever before. But he also realized something important. Energy and growth were not enough. His body could be even stronger. His health could be better. A rich life, he understood, needed a healthy body. One morning, he decided to make a new plan. He opened his notebook and wrote, "Exercise every day. Eat healthy food." It was simple, but he knew it would not be easy. His body was not used to regular exercise, and for years, he had eaten fast food, snacks, and sweet drinks. Changing this routine would be a challenge, but he also remembered his mentor's words. Small daily steps create big change. He started with simple exercises. First, he walked for 20 minutes every morning. He felt his legs and lungs working hard, but the fresh air and movement made him feel alive. Then he added push-ups and sit-ups. At first, his arms and stomach were sore. He wanted to stop, but he remembered the lessons of discipline. He kept going. He also changed his diet. He began to eat more vegetables, fruits, and proteins. He reduced sugar, fried food, and snacks. At first, it was difficult. He missed the taste of old foods, but gradually his body started to feel different. He had more energy. he could concentrate better. His stomach felt light, and his sleep improved. As days passed, he noticed real changes. His muscles became stronger, his posture improved, and he no longer felt tired in the afternoon. His face looked healthier, and his eyes were brighter. Exercise and healthy food were small actions, but they created big results. He began to understand a simple truth. A rich life is not only about money, knowledge, or success. It is also about health. If the body is weak, the mind cannot stay strong. If the body is sick, happiness and success are difficult to enjoy. Health is a foundation for everything else in life. One morning, after his walk and exercises, he looked in the mirror. The reflection showed a man stronger than the one he had seen weeks ago. The tired circles under his eyes were lighter, his shoulders were straighter, his face looked brighter. But more than appearance, he felt the strength inside, a quiet, confident power that came from caring for his body. He wrote in his notebook, "A rich life needs a healthy body. Exercise, eat well, take care of yourself." The words reminded him that small daily habits could change his life more than he had imagined. Over the next weeks, he continued his routines. He increased his walking distance, added stretching after exercises, and experimented with new healthy meals. Each day, he felt stronger, happier, and more confident. His mind worked better, his energy lasted longer, and he felt ready to face challenges with courage. He also realized something important about consistency. Health is not built in one day. One healthy meal or one day of exercise is not enough. But one small habit repeated every day creates a strong, lasting change. And each day, he felt proud of himself for choosing health, even when it was difficult or uncomfortable. One evening, as he sat with a glass of water and stretched before bed, he smiled. He felt alive, strong, and confident. His routines had transformed his body and mind. The tired, weak man in the mirror was no longer there. In his place was someone disciplined, focused, and full of energy. He whispered to himself, "Health is wealth. A strong body builds a strong life. I will keep my routines and take care of myself every day." And from that day, he continued his journey with a new understanding. A rich and successful life begins with a healthy body, supported by small, consistent habits that grow stronger over time. Chapter 9. Money Habits. By now, his mornings were full of energy. He woke up early, drank water, stretched, exercised, and learned every day. His body was strong, his mind was sharp, and his routines had begun to shape a new life. But there was one area he still ignored: money. One evening, his mentor invited him for a walk. As they strolled through the quiet streets, the mentor said, "A rich life is not only about health and knowledge, it is also about money, and money grows slowly, with good habits." He looked confused. "But I don't have much money," he said. "I spend most of it on small things. I don't know how to save." The mentor smiled. "You don't need a lot to start. The key is simple. Save a little every day. Make a simple budget. Know what comes in, what goes out, and what you keep. Consistency is more important than amount." He thought about this as they walked. The idea was simple, but it felt powerful. He had spent years ignoring money, buying small pleasures, and never saving. If he could learn this habit, he could build confidence and security, little by little. The next morning, he decided to start. He opened his notebook and wrote, "Save a little money every day. Track my spending. Learn to manage money. He took a small amount from his pocket money and placed it in a separate envelope. It was not much, just a few coins, but it felt important. For the first time, he was actively saving, instead of spending everything without thinking. Days passed, and he continued. Every morning, he saved a little. Every evening, he wrote down what he had spent and what he had saved. At first, it felt slow. Some days he had almost nothing to save. Some days he wanted to spend his money on small pleasures. But he remembered his routines and the old man's advice. He persisted. After 1 month, he looked at his envelope. He could not believe it. He had money saved. Not a lot, but enough to show that small steps work. He felt proud. The habit of saving had given him a new feeling: control. For the first time, he was not a slave to his desires. He was in charge of his money. The mentor visited again and looked at his notebook. "Good," he said. "You see? Money grows slowly, like a plant. You water it every day with small actions. Over time, it becomes strong, and confidence grows with it." He realized the truth in the words. Saving a little every day was not about getting rich quickly. It was about building discipline, responsibility, and patience. Money was a tool, not a goal, and managing it well made him feel powerful and secure. Over the next weeks, he improved his habits. He planned simple budgets, avoided unnecessary spending, and kept track of all his money. Each small step gave him more confidence. Even seeing the numbers slowly grow in his notebook felt like a victory. He also noticed that these habits affected his mind. He felt calmer and more focused. Worries about money became smaller because he was taking control. He had learned that freedom is not only about having money, it is about managing it wisely. One evening, he wrote in his notebook, "Save a little, track every coin, build confidence with money." The words reminded him that small, consistent habits could create lasting change. He smiled as he closed the notebook. He could feel his life improving in all areas: health, learning, discipline, and now money. Each new habit was like a building block, forming a strong foundation for the future. He whispered to himself, "Money grows slowly. Confidence grows with it. I am learning and I am growing stronger every day." And with that thought, he went to bed, knowing that financial habits, even small ones, could give him power, security, and peace of mind for the rest of his life. Chapter 10. The Power of Consistency. By now, his life was changing. He woke up early, drank water, stretched, exercised, learned, saved money, and wrote goals. His mornings were full of energy. His body was stronger. His mind was sharper, and his confidence was growing. But he noticed something new. The routines began to feel repetitive. Some mornings, he felt bored. The exercises were the same, the reading was short, and saving money felt small. His mind whispered, "Is this really helping? Will anything big happen?" He remembered his mentor's words. Consistency is the secret. Small steps every day create success. He understood the advice in theory, but now he had to practice it. He decided to continue, even when it felt boring. So, he woke up early as usual. He drank water, stretched, and breathed deeply. He exercised for a few minutes, read a page, wrote a sentence, and saved a small amount of money. Every action was small, familiar, and routine, but he did them anyway, without skipping a single step. At first, the days felt slow. Nothing dramatic happened. His savings grew little by little. His reading was just one page. His exercises were short. He wanted instant results, but he reminded himself, change is a process, not magic. And slowly, he began to notice the power of consistency. The small routines, repeated every day, built momentum. His body grew stronger, his mind grew sharper, his savings started to accumulate. Even his confidence and focus improved. He felt unstoppable in a quiet, steady way. He realized something important. Success is not luck. Success is not sudden. Success is the result of small actions repeated every day. It is the result of discipline, patience, and determination. Every step, no matter how small, adds up over time. One morning, as he stretched by the window and watched the sunrise, he smiled. He felt the quiet power inside him. The routines he once thought were boring had become the foundation of his life. He was no longer the tired man who looked in the mirror weeks ago. He was strong, focused, and disciplined. He wrote in his notebook, "Small steps every day create big results." Consistency is power. The words reminded him that every morning, every page, every stretch, and every saved coin mattered. Nothing was wasted. Everything added up. Over the next weeks, he continued his routines without fail. Sometimes he felt tired, sometimes bored, sometimes impatient. But he always returned to the habits. And every time he completed his routines, he felt a quiet pride. He realized that this pride, built from consistency, was more powerful than instant excitement or short-term pleasure. The more he practiced, the more natural it became. The routines no longer felt like chores. They felt like tools that shaped his life. His days were productive, his mind was alert, and his body was energized. The small steps that once seemed boring now felt powerful and meaningful. One evening, he closed his notebook and reflected on his journey. He understood the truth. Success is not about luck, opportunity, or talent. Success is about showing up every day, doing the right small actions, and never giving up. It is about discipline, patience, and consistency. He whispered to himself, "I may be small today, but each step brings me closer to the life I want." Every day matters. Every action matters. Consistency is my power. And with that thought, he went to bed, calm and confident. He knew that no matter what challenges appeared, he had discovered the secret to growth: repetition, daily action, and the quiet power of consistency. Chapter 11. Facing Failure. He had been following his routines for weeks. He woke up early, drank water, stretched, exercised, read, wrote, and saved money every day. His life felt stronger, clearer, and more organized. He felt proud of himself. He believed he could continue like this forever. But one morning, something went wrong. The alarm rang, but he pressed snooze. One more minute, then 5 more. He finally woke up late. His body felt heavy, his mind was foggy, and the first rays of sunlight were already bright in the sky. He rushed through his routine. No water, no stretching, no reading. He skipped exercises, wrote nothing, and forgot to save money. The day went badly. He felt tired at work. He made small mistakes. He was impatient with co-workers. His thoughts were confused, and his energy disappeared. By evening, he felt weak, disappointed, and guilty. He sat on his bed, staring at the ceiling. "I failed," he whispered. "I ruined everything. All my progress is gone. Maybe I am not strong enough. Maybe I am not disciplined enough. Maybe I should just give up." At that moment, He remembered his mentor, the wise old man who had guided him through the first steps of change. He decided to call him. "Hello," the mentor answered kindly. "Sir," he said, his voice heavy, "I failed today. I woke up late. I skipped routines. I wasted time. I feel weak and useless." The mentor listened and then said gently, "Do you know the truth about failure?" "No," he replied. "Failure is not the end," the mentor said. "Failure is part of growth. Every strong person fails many times. Every successful life has mistaken. The difference is simple. They get back up. They continue. They learn. You cannot avoid failure, but you can choose what to do after it." He thought about the words. At first he felt afraid. Could he really get back up? Could he really continue after such a bad day? But slowly he felt a small spark of hope. He realized that one day of failure did not erase all his progress. He had learned routines, discipline, and focus. One mistake was just one day. The next morning, he woke up early again. The alarm rang, and this time he stood up immediately. He drank water, stretched, and breathed deeply. He exercised, read a page, wrote a sentence, and saved money. Each action felt like a small victory. The memory of yesterday's failure made him stronger. He understood something important. Failure teaches lessons. It shows where you are weak, where your habits are not strong enough, and where you need to focus. Instead of being ashamed, he felt motivated. Failure was not an enemy, it was a guide. Over the next weeks, he noticed that failures happened less often. But when they did, he did not panic. He simply remembered his mentor's words. Failure is part of growth. Get back up and continue. And he did. Every time he slipped, he rose again, learning more about himself, his strengths, and his weaknesses. He wrote in his notebook, "Failure is not the end. It is part of growth. Continue after mistakes." These words reminded him that life is not perfect, and routines are not always easy. But every day, every small action, every choice mattered. And when he continued after failure, he became stronger than before. By the end of the month, he realized that failure was no longer frightening. It was a tool. It was a teacher. He understood that even the most successful people fail many times, but their power comes from rising every time without giving up. He whispered to himself before sleep, "I will fail sometimes, but I will rise. I will continue. I will grow stronger every day." And with that thought, he felt calm and determined, ready to face whatever challenges the next day would bring. Chapter 12. Growth in Silence. Months passed. He continued his routines every day. He woke up early, drank water, stretched, exercised, read, wrote, and saved money. He followed his goals and practiced discipline. He faced failure when it came, and he kept going, but nothing big happened. No promotion at work, no sudden change in life, no instant recognition. Some mornings, he felt tired. Some days, he felt bored. Sometimes he wondered if all this effort was worth it. Yet inside, he felt different. He noticed a calmness he had never felt before. His mind was no longer messy or chaotic. Thoughts came clearly, one by one. Decisions were easier. He was not easily distracted. The small challenges of life no longer frustrated him. He could handle problems with patience and focus. Confidence also grew quietly. He did not need to prove anything to anyone. He knew that he had built strong habits. He knew that he could rely on himself. Even when nothing visible had changed outside, He felt strong inside. He realized the truth. Real change does not always show immediately. True growth is slow, it is silent. It happens in the mind, in the heart, and in small actions that add up over time. The world may not notice, but he could feel it. He wrote in his notebook, "Growth is silent. True change takes time. Patience and consistency are my strength." These words reminded him that the small, repeated actions were powerful, even when results were not visible yet. He walked to work one morning and noticed something he had never seen before. The streets were the same, people were the same, and life seemed ordinary. Yet he felt alive. He felt calm. He felt in control. Even the smallest tasks, greeting a neighbor, finishing work early, helping a coworker, felt meaningful. Months of silent work had changed him. His body was strong, his mind was sharp, his habits were disciplined. But the most important change was inside. He felt steady, calm, and confident. He understood that life's greatest power is built quietly, day by day, moment by moment. One evening he looked at his reflection in the mirror. He saw the tired man from months ago. But now, the man in the mirror was different. His eyes were calm and focused. His posture was confident. His face had a quiet energy. This was not a sudden success. This was slow, deep growth that could not be seen at first glance. He smiled and whispered to himself, "I am changing. Slowly, quietly, deeply. My habits are building me. My life is becoming stronger." He realized something else. Growth in silence is more powerful than growth in noise. People who chase quick success often fail. People who wait for visible results sometimes give up. But those who work quietly, with patience and discipline, create change that lasts. He continued his routines, but now with a deeper understanding. Waking up early, drinking water, exercising, learning, saving money, and following his goals were no longer just habits. They were a way of life. They were the foundation of his inner strength. And even without visible success, he felt proud. He understood that the richest people are not always the ones with money or fame. The richest people are those who have self-control, focus, and calm energy inside. He was becoming one of them. That night, as he closed his notebook and lay in bed, he whispered again, "True change is slow. I will continue quietly. I will grow stronger every day." And with that thought, he slept peacefully, knowing that slow, silent growth was creating a life far stronger than any instant success could. Chapter 13. Visible Results. Months of quiet growth were finally beginning to show. He had followed his routines for a long time, waking up early, drinking water, stretching, exercising, learning, saving money, and writing goals. The work had been silent, slow, and sometimes difficult. But now the results were starting to appear, not just inside him, but outside, too. At work, his colleagues began to notice the change. He was more focused and organized. He finished tasks faster and made fewer mistakes. During meetings, he spoke confidently and clearly. People started asking for his advice, and even his boss praised his work. Friends also noticed his energy. He smiled more, spoke more positively, and listened carefully. They asked, "What is your secret? You seem full of energy and confidence." He smiled quietly, without bragging. He remembered the lessons of humility. He knew that this change was the result of daily routines, discipline, and patience, not luck or sudden talent. Even small opportunities appeared in his life. A new project at work gave him a chance to learn new skills. A friend invited him to help with a community activity, which made him feel useful. Each opportunity felt like a reward for his consistent efforts. He felt proud, but humble. He did not boast or compare himself to others. He understood that real success is not about showing off. Real success is quiet, consistent, and built from small daily actions. His life was no longer poor, not because he had money or fame, but because it was rich in habits, routines, and discipline. One morning, he looked at himself in the mirror. The tired, lost man he once was had disappeared. In his place was someone strong, confident, and calm. His eyes were bright, his posture straight, and his face reflected energy and focus. He smiled and whispered, "I did this step by step. Every day mattered. My routines made me rich." He also realized that this richness was more than visible success. It was in the way he handled challenges. It was in the way he approached learning. It was in the patience he had built. Every habit, every small choice, every disciplined action had led to this moment. He wrote in his notebook, "Daily routines build true wealth. Small actions every day create big results. I am proud, but I stay humble." The words reminded him that visible success is a reflection of inner growth, and humility keeps it strong and lasting. Even simple actions now gave him confidence. Waking up early, finishing tasks, learning, saving money, each of these things felt powerful. They reminded him that his life had changed because he had invested in himself day after day, quietly and patiently. At the park, he noticed people rushing, tired and distracted. Some complained about their lives, while he felt calm and focused. He realized that most people wanted success quickly, but he had built it step by step. His life was now full, steady, and rich, not because of luck, but because of the power of daily routines. That evening he looked at the sunset and smiled. He felt gratitude for his mentor, for his routines, and for his patience. He understood a simple truth: success is not sudden. True change grows quietly, step by step, until one day it becomes visible to everyone. He whispered to himself before sleep, "My life is rich because of my routines. Small actions every day create big results. I am proud, but I remain humble." And with that thought, he closed his eyes, calm and satisfied. His journey had begun quietly, but now the world could see the strength, energy, and focus that his daily habits had built. Chapter 14. Sharing the Wisdom. Months of hard work, patience, and daily routines had changed his life. He woke up early, drank water, stretched, exercised, read, wrote, and saved money every day. His body was strong, his mind was sharp, and his confidence had grown. His life was no longer poor. It was rich, full of energy, focus, and discipline. One afternoon, while walking in the park, he saw a young man sitting on a bench. The young man looked tired and lost. He had a sad face, and his clothes were wrinkled. He seemed unsure of what to do with his life. He remembered himself months ago, the tired, weak, and lost man he had once been. He remembered the hopeless feelings, the laziness, and the confusion. He felt a strong desire to help. He walked up and sat beside the young man. "Hello?" he said gently. "You look tired. Are you okay?" The young man sighed. "I feel lost," he said. "I want to do something with my life, but I don't know where to start. I feel weak and lazy." He nodded, remembering all he had learned. He remembered his mentor's words, the routines he had followed, and the small steps that had built his life. He smiled and said, "I understand. I was once like you. I felt lost, weak, and unsure of my future, but I learned something that changed my life. It is simple, but powerful." The young man looked up, interested. He began to share his lessons. "It all starts with small daily routines. Wake up early, drink water, stretch, exercise, take care of your body. Then, learn something new every day. Read, write, and listen. Set small goals and follow them. Save a little money every day. Be disciplined even when it is hard. Consistency is more important than speed. Small actions every day create big results." The young man listened carefully. He wrote some notes in his notebook. He asked questions, and he was eager to learn. He seemed motivated to try these small habits himself. As he spoke, he realized something important. Real wealth is not only money or success. Real wealth is knowledge, wisdom, and the ability to help others grow. Teaching someone else what he had learned made him feel proud and happy. The joy of helping another person understand the power of small daily habits was greater than any money he could earn or recognition he could receive. He continued, "It will not be easy. You will face failure. You will feel tired. You will want to quit. But remember, every step matters. Keep going, even when it is hard. Growth is slow, but it is powerful. True change comes quietly, step by step." The young man nodded. "I understand. I will start small. I will follow these steps every day." He smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. He remembered his own journey, the long months of quiet growth, the challenges, the discipline, and the habits that had transformed his life. And now he realized that by sharing his knowledge, he was continuing the cycle of growth. He wrote in his notebook that evening, "Real wealth is not only money. Real wealth is helping others grow. Share your knowledge and guide others." He understood that this was a new chapter in his life. His routines had built his inner strength, and now he could help others build theirs. The knowledge he had gained, the habits he had formed, and the lessons he had learned were not just for himself. They were for everyone willing to listen, learn, and take action. That night, as he closed his notebook and lay in bed, he felt a calm satisfaction. His life was rich, not only because of his routines or success, but because he could share his wisdom and make a positive difference in someone else's life. He whispered to himself, "True wealth is helping others grow. When I share, my life becomes richer, my heart becomes stronger, and my journey continues." And with that thought, he fell asleep peacefully, knowing that the habits he had built and the lessons he had learned were now seeds that could grow in many lives, just as they had grown in his own. Change your routines, change your life. Welcome to the final part of this journey. Over the past chapters, we have followed the story of a man who changed his life, step by step, habit by habit. He started as a tired, lost man. He woke up late, felt weak, and had no plan. His days were chaotic, his mind was confused, and he often wondered if life would ever change. Then, everything began with a simple decision: to take control of his routines. He learned from his mentor that small actions repeated every day can create big results. He woke up early. He drank water. He stretched and exercised. He read, wrote, and saved money. He faced failure, overcame laziness, and built discipline. Slowly, quietly, he transformed himself. At first, the change was invisible. It was silent. It felt slow. He sometimes doubted himself. He sometimes wanted to quit, but he kept going. Every day, he did small actions. Every day, he stayed consistent. Over time, these actions became habits. These habits became his lifestyle. And finally, the world started to notice. His energy, focus, and confidence grew. Opportunities appeared. Life became richer, not just in money, but in strength, knowledge, and calm confidence. The most powerful lesson of his journey is simple. Your routines decide your future. Success does not come from luck, talent, or sudden opportunity. Success comes from small, meaningful actions repeated every day. Waking up early, taking care of your health, learning, writing goals, saving money, and staying disciplined are the tools that build a strong, rich life. And here is the truth. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to begin. One small step today is better than 1,000 steps tomorrow. Start with waking up early. Drink water. Stretch. Write down one goal. Save a little money. Read one page. Do one push-up. Do one small action that moves your life forward. Then repeat it tomorrow. Then the next day. Step by step, day by day, you will see change. Another important lesson is that failure is not the enemy. You will stumble, you will feel weak, and you may lose motivation. That is normal. What matters is that you get back up. Every time you rise after a failure, your mind becomes stronger, your habits become deeper, and your life becomes richer. Remember, small, consistent steps matter more than quick, perfect results. And finally, true wealth is more than money. Real richness comes from health, knowledge, discipline, and helping others. Share what you learn. Teach someone else. Guide others to build their habits. When you help others grow, your own life becomes richer and more meaningful. So today, this is my message to you, my friends. You can change your life, one small step at a time. You don't need luck. You need routines. You need patience, consistency, and determination. Begin today. Small steps create a rich life. Look at your life now. Imagine where you want to be in 1 month, 6 months, or a year. You may feel tired, uncertain, or weak. That is okay. Begin with one small routine. Repeat it every day. Build another small habit tomorrow. Over time, these small habits will grow into something powerful. You will feel stronger, smarter, and more confident. You will see visible results. And one day, when you look in the mirror, you will see a new person, a person who has taken control, built habits, and created a life full of energy, focus, and purpose. Remember, change is possible, growth is possible, success is possible, and it starts with the routines you practice today. So, my friend, start now. Take one small step. Wake up early tomorrow, drink water, stretch, write a goal, learn one thing, save a little money, and repeat, step by step, day by day. Your life will change. You will grow stronger. You will build confidence. You will create a rich life, not by luck, but by the power of your daily routines. Begin today. Your future self will thank you. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn English while getting motivated, join us on my YouTube channel, Read and Learn English. Here, we read, listen, and learn together. Every video helps you improve your English skills and gain life lessons at the same time. Click subscribe, turn on the bell, and start learning English step by step. Let's grow, read, and learn together. Remember, small steps every day make a big difference. in English and in life. See you in the next video.